All right, so you guys ready to begin?
Sure.
All right, so the first question was update or backup strategies, and what's the best way to back up your wallet? The best way to do so is going to the file menu and export wallet, and it'll ask you for a file name. It'll save a file in a JSON file. Your private keys will be encrypted, so make sure you remember your password, and save that file to a USB stick. That's how I would back up. If you have that file, then it's possible to import your wallet. I do not recommend trying to back up individual private keys. Well, technically it is possible that if you back up the private keys of your accounts, that you can rescan the blockchain. You are likely to lose some information when you do so, mainly in the memos and other data that can't be easily reconstructed from the blockchain itself.
But no funds.
You'll have your funds by JSON file. You'll have all your accounts, you have all your private keys, and when you import it and rescan the blockchain, you'll have everything.
I'm asking because
So
if you wanted to do this cold storage thing, you probably need to go to private keys to make this happen currently, as far as I know.
If you're doing cold storage and you want to be able to see your funds, then you need to copy hot clients to your cold client and scan on the cold client in order to receive any. Just observing the blockchain, you won't be able to observe your cold funds. We don't currently support generating transactions on your cold wallet and transferring them to a hot wallet. That's something we do plan to support, but obviously we have core features that we are focusing on first.
Yeah, sure.
So basically then, if you don't want to lose anything after every transaction you make, you have to do that backup. Otherwise you'll lose some of the to information of who it goes to and stuff like that, right?
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know that, and I went to a temporary PC and started building stuff, and I lost a bunch of data, and I'm really upset that I lost that, but it's kind of a pain. But I'm glad to learn that now and not in a few months.
Yeah, that's one of the drawbacks of having things private, is it makes it harder to recover information that you intended to hide. What's the next question you'd like me to address?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind just going an overview of some of the things, exciting things. I mean, I've seen a lot last week, but I'd like to hear your perspective.
All right, so high-level overview of what's gone on this past week. It's been a wild ride. If any of you have been following CoinMarketCap, we have moved from 5th to 3rd by a wide margin. That is... It is party time. Don't sell yet. Hold on for a few more weeks, and then we can all buy an island. But no, it's been a really great week in terms of adoption, getting the word out. We've had record new users signing up to the forum, all kinds of new people coming out of the woodwork, asking questions, getting involved. The marketing campaign hasn't even started yet. So large players with large amounts of money are starting to move in, including us. We are buying BitShares X with some of the AGS funds because we think it has higher potential in the next 6 months than Bitcoin. But that's just what we're doing, and that's one of the things we disclosed this week. So why is all the excitement? Well, primarily because BitAssets are ready to go. BitUSD is available in the current client that's already been distributed and is probably running on all the delegates and exchanges right now. We are waiting until Monday to have the delegates publish price feeds and bootstrap the market, primarily so that if anything does go wrong in the market execution on the live network, we have all hands on deck during the work week instead of cutting into everyone's weekend. So bottom line is, next week is going to be a wild ride as BitUSD comes into existence for the very first time. I know there's at least one person out there who's conspiring to be the first person to actually own BitUSD in their wallet.
Ooh.
They're trying to make sure that their orders match and they get it, figuring it'll probably be a collector's item or at least something that they can frame.
Yeah, but actually, aren't they too late? Because we already had BitUS dollars in the test net, and I was among the first, just to tell you.
Yes, I suppose you had test US dollars, but these will be the first in the real thing. Sure. So I think they have a little bit more value. We've had lots of great testing going on the past week. So some of the changes as a result of that testing, I'll just review the markets from the very high level, because some people are wondering how BitUSD works, and hopefully you can take this high level discussion and make it a sound bite and publish it for all the newbies that are coming in to discover the system. So BitUSD, or BitAssets in general, it can be pegged to anything, starts its life with a price feed from at least 51 of the delegates have to produce a price feed. The price feed is the median price feed of all delegates, sets the allowable trading range plus or minus 10%, for which new users can short it into existence and other users can cover it. So let's look at BitAssets. What are users doing? Two people who both start out owning BitShares X are speculating on the value that the BitShares X is going to move relative to the dollar. One person thinks it's going to go down, the other person thinks it's going to go up. So they take opposite positions. The person who thinks it's going to go down, the person who thinks it's going to go up relative to the dollar, needs to hold collateral in case it goes down. They both put in, say, 1,000 BitShares X, and you get 2,000 in collateral, and let's say it's $1 per BitShares X. A couple weeks that'll be the case. For anyone who hasn't paid attention, that's a 100x increase.
What island are we going to be at?
Hawaii.
At that point?
We're going to buy out Hawaii.
Oh, that's fine, man. I can do that.
Australia's next.
They're going to be pissed.
They basically both start out with $1,000 worth of value denominated in BitShares X. So you have $2,000 worth of collateral, 2,000 BitShares X. And one person gets 1,000 BitUSD out of the deal. The other person gets a negative 1,000 BitUSD out of the deal. And in order to get the $2,000 worth of collateral back, they've got to buy back the 1,000 BitUSD. If the price doesn't move, they can buy it back and nobody made or lost any money. If BitUSD goes down in value, then you can buy it back cheaper. And then the person who went short profits. If it goes up in value, it's more expensive to buy it back. And therefore, the person who went short loses money. And the person who went long, who held the BitUSD, still retains their purchasing power. So that's the general mechanic. The key thing to recognize here is that if the 1 hour moving average of the price falls to the margin call price, which is the price at which it takes 1,500 BitShares X to buy back 1,000 BitUSD, so a 25% fall in value, then the blockchain will automatically execute a call, purchasing it and covering it. So under normal market operations, you don't have to trust the other party to buy back. It'll automatically occur. And if it does occur, then there's a 5% penalty charged to the person to the short who failed to cover before it was forced to cover. So generally speaking, most users, to avoid the 5% penalty, will be proactive at making sure they have enough margin or that they cover before they run out of collateral. Why is it going to stay pegged to the dollar? That is the billion or multi-billion dollar question that everyone here is speculating on. And it comes down to having the same behavior as a prediction market. You know that the only way to reverse your trade after you make it is to voluntarily swap back. No one can force a short to sell unless the highest bid is below the margin call price. So everyone is in effect betting on what everyone else is going to be trading in the future. And the only safe bet is to bet that the consensus is going to hold. Everyone would have to agree to a different consensus at the same time. Otherwise, you're going to lose money, because most people are going to say, well, what's going to happen? Is the BitUSD going to go down, or is it going to go up, and why? What are people going to be willing to pay for it in the future? Because there are shorts and there's basically forced buying at a certain price, every BitUSD always has a buyer. There's always a buyer in the market for it, and everyone's looking to make money. No matter which way you slice it, if you try to trade against the consensus, you are going to lose money. It's the same way as any prediction market, whether you're predicting who's going to be president in the upcoming election. That is market pegged to the probability of someone winning. In this case, we're market pegging the value of BitUSD to USD on a prediction market on the future exchange rate between BitShares X and BitUSD. And that's all that's really going on here. And this is significantly different than all the other systems out there that operate on USD IOUs, where someone issues an asset, they promise to redeem it for $1. If they go bankrupt, get hit by a bus, or have their bank account frozen by the government, then your asset is worthless. In this case, all assets are on the blockchain, and you never have to worry about it becoming worthless. That said, all assets are ultimately collateralized by BitShares X itself. Holding BitUSD is exposure to BitShares X. You're hedged against the volatility, but ultimately, if BitShares X craters and becomes worthless, then their collateral is worthless and your BitUSD is worthless. So anyone who's holding BitUSD implicitly believes that the system is sound. They may disagree on the current value and the future direction, but they believe that the market peg is reliable and is functional. So no BitUSD is ever created by anyone who doesn't believe in the peg in the first place. It makes no sense to trade in either direction. And furthermore, any attack on the market itself, attacker can either get a bunch of BitUSD or a bunch of BTSX. In either case, a successful attack leaves it worthless. And so there's no money to be made by trying to deliberately attack the market peg. So that's the high-level mechanics of BitUSD. It's ready to go. Will be turned on Monday when the delegates publish their feeds. I guess the main thing here is that there's two things that have to happen. You have to have 51 delegates publish a feed, and you need about 1% of the BTSX on the short and long side of the market as far as depth is concerned before trading will start. Right now you can place buy orders for BitUSD, but you can't short it right now until there is a price feed. So that's where we are. Are there any questions?
I've got a question. Is there a specific amount of time, almost like an expiration on how long somebody can short or go long? I mean, is there a point in time when it says, okay, when it says, okay, this is the point in time when you pay up or you get paid?
There's no timeline on this. So as long as you've got sufficient collateral, you can maintain your position. Although it should be pointed out that in order to maximize your returns when you're short, you want to cover and reshort and take your profits as often as possible. That also makes sure you're collateralized.
So for somebody who's long, it might not actually be a bad idea to go into different bit assets to gain the stability of maybe one over another, or gain some of the attributes that investment will have, unique attributes that investment will have.
Right. If you think it's in a bubble, you can buy BitUSD and then sell it back later. That's one way of helping keep the price a little bit more stable than Bitcoin's price. The price of BitShares X more stable, because you can stay inside the system and hedge. Some people, like merchants and even end users, they don't want to be exposed to the volatility, but they like the idea of a money that is got all the properties of Bitcoin. For these users, holding dollars makes good sense. One of the interesting things is that with simply renaming it to BitUSD 5, with a consensus that the price should represent the value of the dollar as if it had grown, sorry, the value of a savings bond, then the market will automatically be pegged to a 5% return. There'll be more demand for that than straight BitUSD, which is something that the shorts might be interested in if they want to leverage up against BitShares X. All these types of assets are possible because the market peg function is based upon consensus and what people are willing to trade at now, what people expect to be willing to trade at in the future.
So it's essentially possible to invest in a version of USD that would act as a certain kind of traditional investment that would be a more, say, safe investment like a CD or something to that effect.
Effectively, yes.
But that would be considered a different asset. A different asset, essentially.
Right. It'd be like a bank account that instead of getting more dollars, the value of the dollars in the bank account go up. You're exposed to the same market fluctuations of the dollar plus some fixed equation, or even plus the interest rate the inflation rate according to some source that's unambiguous. As long as there is a unambiguous consensus in the market about how things should be trading, you should be able to profit by buying and selling and providing liquidity on either side of the price. I published a graph and a how-to for trading against the market peg, and there's basically three types of users. There's the bulls, the bears, and the market makers. The value of BitUSD relative to USD will fluctuate based upon the relative direction of cash flow in the market. It's kind of like the first derivative. Anytime the prices, BitShares X is going up, there's net flow into it, then BitUSD is going to be at a discount. Anytime there's net flow out of it, it's going to be at a premium until there's enough interest for new people to take out positions. So it's sort of like a self-regulating market at that point where the premium is proportional to the volume in or out of one asset. So you can trade that first derivative on the simple premise that the direction of the market is eventually going to change. Whether it's up or down, it's going to change. So you buy low, you sell high, and you can continually do that. And the more people that take that safe investment route, they're basically providing the liquidity that maintains the peg so that other people who are bulls and bears can switch between USD and BitShares X based upon longer term price movements. And so there's a paper on that. I suggest you check it out and see which one you want to be. I think there are probably going to be many trading bots out there that are pre-programmed to monitor a price feed and provide liquidity accordingly. I know of at least one bot in existence already.
I have a question for you regarding this type of investing in other assets on the exchange. For newbies, essentially, do you have any recommendations or anything that you would consider to be one of the safer things for somebody who's new, who just say downloaded their wallet and got, went out and got 1,000 BTSX and they want to put it into something? Do you feel like BTSX is going to be the safest investment for them to keep that in? I know this is an investment advice, but just,
it's the only high growth option out there. If you want to be exposed to gold or silver or dollars, BitGold, BitUSD, and BitSilver are all things you can trade against and invest according to whatever your speculation is about the relative movement of those items against each other. So if you're looking for a exchange that you don't have to worry about an MF Global type event, then this is a potential option. Of course, all assets in the system are exposed to the underlying BTSX. That is your risk. But if BTSX works, I think that's a relatively low risk.
I have a question. Basically, as a collateral, I can only use BTSX and no asset. So I cannot go short on euro using the US dollar as a collateral, can I?
You cannot do that in the current system.
Okay, and how many markets do we now have? So packed markets. There's the euro, the US dollar, the yen, the gold. How many are there currently?
I guess in theory the maximum is 100 because there's a 1% depth requirement currently. But you need to get the delegates to publish a price feed, and we're probably going to encourage them not to publish all the feeds at once, but to have everyone focus on just one feed. That way all the liquidity and capital in the system is focused on one feed. Probably quickly grow it to be the dollar, the won, gold, silver, and Bitcoin.
So let's imagine there are now, I need 1% on one side of the order book or 1% on both sides together.
It might be both sides together. I'd have to review it.
Okay, because actually I'm thinking about if there were like 30 assets open and actively traded, that would also mean that there are like either 30% or 60% of all XTS currently stuck in orders, or even more because of the collateral. Doesn't this also imply that the liquidity of XTS is significantly decreased actually?
Well, liquidity of XTS, you can cancel your order at any time and transfer it, so it's just another place that it could be sitting. The high depth of the depth requirement is mainly required because we're small. Once the market cap is $10 billion, you can have a fraction of the depth requirement and still have high valuation, make it hard to manipulate. The main purpose there is to make, before anyone trades anything, that there is enough money on the table on both sides of the order book that there is a high consensus among market players of what the price should be, and that you'll likely be able to reverse your trade because there are other orders already there.
So that threshold is basically to ensure a smoother, slow start of the market and nothing more.
Right. The market is most vulnerable early on when there's relatively few orders. So that's why we start out with a price feed, and that's why we start out with depth. That's how we make sure we have consensus. The delegates reach consensus on what the starting price is, plus or minus 10%, and everyone else through their orders reach consensus on what the peg is. And once that consensus is established, it's very hard to break it.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I've got a question about just risks, about boundary conditions. Let's say, so USD is going to be stable and BitShares is going to be volatile, huge profit potential. But let's say some risk starts appearing to the market. It looks like BitShares is going to become very volatile, possibly with lots of downside risk. I can imagine lots of people want to move everything into BitUSD to protect themselves from it. But anyway, what kind of risks in the system, or is there anything like that you fear or want to be, or you're afraid of?
If there is a scare, a panic, and say, a Mt. Gox style event, or someone, finds a vulnerability in the network that shuts it down for a day or two, I could see there being some panic. And those type of events will result in people switching to BitUSD, particularly those who think the market's going to eventually recover, and they're just trying to hedge, which in that particular event is going to cause a BitUSD to be at a discount, BitUSD to be at a premium. So it'll be trading above $1 because there's so much demand for it. And because of the scare, very few people are going to want to short it, which means that those who do short it are compensated by the premium. So the market basically balances out so that if there's high demand for BitUSD, there will be a premium which encourages people to short, and that of course then allows demand to be met. The people who are short take the risk of losing all the collateral. If you're long, the worst possible outcome for BitUSD is a rapid sudden fall in price of 50% or more. A 50% fall in price is fine. There's enough collateral to cover you. If it's more than 50% and the automatic margin calls are not able to execute, then the market will cover what they can, and there will be some outstanding USD. So then instead of being 200% backed, it might be 99 or 98 or 95% backed until enough market fees can be collected. So that's one aspect of the system I didn't discuss because it's mainly a contingency system, is that as the market operates, it collects fees. The fees are in BitUSD. These fees are saved, and in the event of such a catastrophic outcome, those fees that we saved previously are used to make the market whole. And if there is insufficient...
When you're talking about funds being saved, so there's a private key protecting that, or how does that work?
It's saved on the blockchain, no private key protecting it, but there's basically a balance.
Right, but someone has to be able to have signing authority over it, right?
No one has signing authority over it. It's just, at the end of the day, it's a balance sheet entry that records how much surplus BitUSD is on the books of the so-called bank. And Normally it's positive, it's like FDIC. If there's a major event, then it might go negative. As long as it's positive, you know you're 100% backed. If it's negative, you're slightly unbacked. But as fees are collected, you eventually get back to 100% or more backing.
Oh, wow. Well, after we buy Hawaii and Australia, we'll have to buy Japan.
Yeah, they're in pretty bad shape. We might as well grab them up too.
So, can you hear me?
Loud and
Yes,
clear.
we can hear you.
Oh, great. So my question would be, how big do you think that premium of BitUSD or the negative premium could get?
I would expect that during normal times, as the market operates and grows, that it will probably shrink to be next to nothing because it's almost guaranteed profit. But early on, when there's a lot of uncertainty or there's a lot of risk, I could see the premium being 10% in either direction. I know that if I was writing a trading bot, I would probably be trading at the 10% as my, all right, this is 100% guaranteed profits here. I just have to wait this thing out. But that's the outer limit of what I would expect. Now, of course, these are markets. No one can predict it. Extraordinary events and black swans can occur. But the higher the premium, the more incentive there is in the market for market players to push it back toward the peg. The more profit there is to be made by buying or selling and holding until it recovers. So I think that lots of people will see this as a huge buying opportunity. Think of it as an interest rate. How high of an interest rate, if it got up to 30%, would you be willing to take a lot of risk? Probably, particularly if you believe in the system. So I don't expect it to get that outrageous.
And you were also talking about a possible lack of liquidity. Is that the case when either the demand for shorting BitUSD or the demand for going long BitUSD? So one of these sides is comparatively low compared to the other side. Is that what you refer to as the liquidity problem?
Right. Early on, there's probably a lot of people that are really strong believers that BitShares X is going to go up in value, and there's no way in the world they'd want to hold dollars. So they're all wanting to short the dollar so that they can leverage up. And very few people will say, oh gosh, I want to sit on the sidelines and hold dollars. So you have to look for people that say, well, I don't know which way it's going to go. I don't care which way it's going to go. I'm just going to profit on the reversion to the mean of the BitUSD peg. And the number of people that are willing to profit from reversion to the mean, basically the market makers versus the number of people that are market speculators, is going to affect the liquidity. I suspect that BitUSD plus 5% is going to be higher demand than BitUSD plus 0% because, hey, I'm guaranteed at least 5%. That's pretty good. And versus, all right, here's a checking account with no interest. But on the other hand, there's going to be lots of speculators that think, oh, this isn't a bubble. I want to buy BitUSD so that I can ride out the bubble, particularly, hey, look, it's undervalued, so I can get the guaranteed gain plus the bubble. So it's really hard to say what the balance is. But effectively, when there's not enough liquidity, the premium plus or for either for USD or the discount spreads, it gets wider, 5-10% until there is enough liquidity. So it's really what the spreads become, and the spreads will grow until liquidity meets demand.
So because of the
I got another question, but
So go ahead. Not a big deal.
go ahead. If you haven't asked a question, I've already asked one.
No, just a short conclusion. So at the beginning, because many people think BitShares X is going up, there will just be little people that want to hold BitUSD. So there will just be a tiny bit of the BitUSD shorters. Just a tiny bit of that demand will be satisfied. There will just be not so many BitUSD, and that's it. So a question would be
There's always a matching BitUSD. The question is, as the price gets further and further below, it's less and less likely to short because the price would have to fall even more before the short could be profitable. So it's high risk to short as you deviate too much below the price. So the supply and demand always balance out in these situations. And I would expect that as we gear the marketing toward not the trading aspect, but the fact that, hey, use BitUSD as a currency, people start using it like their bank account and just have money sitting in BitUSD because they don't want to be speculators. They're using it as digital money instead of as digital virtual shares.
Okay, thanks.
And do you guys plan on having it set up so a user is going to have to transfer their money into BitUSD and hold it there to use it, or is it going to be set up, or is it planned to be set up so you can automatically say if I'm holding all bit gold and I want to buy something with BitUSD, I can very easily just at the time of purchase have it transferred to BitUSD from BitGold or whatever other bit assets I choose. Does that make sense?
If you hold BitGold, it takes about 10 seconds to convert it to BitUSD and 10 seconds to then transfer the USD you received to the person you're paying. So you just price up the one, but it's only 2 10-second steps. But
the user essentially could still just accomplish this in one step, and the back end is working on accomplishing the 2 steps. Does that make sense? Is that I'm trying to find out if a new user is going to have to take both of those steps themselves, or you foresee services coming out that enable that to be transferred kind of behind the scenes. Of course, there's an unknown fee associated with that. If you're going to place the market order and you price it at the current order book, by the time your transaction gets into the order book might look slightly different. Yeah, there'd probably be some rules on the conversion there, but I could easily see that it could be somewhat automated.
I have a question about governance as far as, I mean, like right now we're small and the Bytemaster can handle everything without Bytemaster being a bottleneck. But if big banks start getting involved and religions start getting involved and governments and everything starts getting involved in this, it could quickly start becoming scaled. Like, for example, there's 2 consensus out there. There's the popular consensus, which is the direction where the herd's going, and then there's the expert consensus that is recognizing that this is about to jump off a cliff and we need to change directions of the herd. For example, Bitcoin right now is heading towards the mining cliff, and the herd thinks mining is valuable and proof of work is a good thing, but yet there's I'm sure a clear minority expert consensus that recognizes that they're about to jump over the cliff. So when things scale and get big, how do you envision those kind of problems being solved most efficiently in the future?
Well, right now it seems like the general consensus is to trust our team to come up with what needs to happen. I suspect that eventually it's going to move toward a delegate-based, Bitcoin improvement proposal reviewed by the delegates, changes commissioned by delegates, things like that. So, popular opinion is a problem that the network does have to deal with. Yeah, because you're right, it can be wrong. In fact, right now, most of the people out there seem to think that mining is the only way. But if you ask the Bitcoin 2.0 panel at the Cryptolina conference, what's the single biggest thing Bitcoin needs to do to improve itself? Everyone was unanimous in saying that it should be proof of stake. So I believe that the market is moving toward proof of stake, and that's why you see on CoinMarketCap a large percentage of the top assets are proof of stake and not mined. So yes, there will be a transition process there. It certainly can't continue like it's been, where there are hot fixes and rapid updates. It's very much happening on seat of our pants kind of development right now. Eventually that's going to stabilize. The process for getting changes to the protocol will get much more robust. It will have to in order for people to trust it. But we are still in the defining the feature set of the system phase. So it's particularly risky right now because as we add features, there is a period of beta testing on the network. So, but eventually that when we get to 1.0 and the spec is relatively stable, then the delegates are probably going to be primarily responsible for governance.
Now, with regard to governance, we've used that word a lot, and I'm kind of curious where you and the team are, kind of what your view is on how governments are going to look at BitUSD, and for instance, like the U.S. government, is there going to be a legal hurdle that we haven't seen yet that you are expecting, or anything of that consideration? Because I can honestly see a decentralized market like this eventually being able to be one of the leading places where the value of a currency is established, as opposed to the centralized exchanges. Kind of a roll switch at some point in time when it becomes robust enough.
I expect that to be the case. As far as regulatory issues, at Cryptolina I was talking to someone who wanted to set up a gateway for Stellar, or it's basically a Ripple clone. the idea is that they're going to issue dollar IOUs on the network and allow people to trade their dollar IOUs against other assets on the network. And I talked to them, I said, you realize that creating dollar IOUs is a highly regulated process. It's a liability. Even if you intend to do well, your bank account could get frozen, stolen by the government. Someone could embezzle it from you. There could be a bank error not in your favor. All kinds of things can go wrong if you have that liability hanging over your head. So what I suggested them that they do instead is to be a gateway for BitUSD. You buy and sell BitUSD. You take the dollars you receive to buy BitShares X through the actual exchanges or whatever. But at the end of the day, you never have any liabilities. You're always trading one asset for another. Dollars for BitUSD. After the trade, there's no liabilities between any of the parties involved. And that is the benefit of the system. And that's a huge regulatory benefit. And after they got to thinking about that, they realized that made a lot of sense, because who wants to deal with being personally liable for millions of dollars worth of currency you've issued and have a vault or a bank account somewhere that you better not lose access to, or you default on all your IOUs out there. That is going to change the thing. So from a regulatory perspective, I think the network is going to be beyond that type of regulation. There might be know your customer laws, and the merchants and the people that are providing the services might have to meet those laws, but we're already seeing exchanges doing that now. I'm confident, based on the exchanges I've talked to, that we're going to see BitWon trading against WON and BitUSD trading against USD with the same regulations as Bitcoin.
So with respect to
let's buy the moon and open a base up there too.
That might be the safest place.
Yeah, people keep saying to the moon. I'm looking at Mars or Alpha Centauri.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Great. Hello, everybody. Should I just give a general update on what's going on my end?
Oh, sure. Is everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, great. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things happening here behind the scenes with the marketing side. I think a lot of what you're seeing right now with this price move is there's several individuals who are taking a really big position in BitShares X, and these are a combination of the marketing guys and their friends, some wealthy individuals, and they have apparently there's several $1 million already spoken for that's trying to get in right now, and the only reason it's not already in the system is they're limited on how much Bitcoin they can buy each day, that kind of thing. So I know one guy in particular is buying $50,000 a day. It's just as soon as his Coinbase allows him to. That's just in BitShares X. So they've told me that between their friends they've probably got $20 million ready to go into BitShares X. So the move that you guys, are seeing right now in the price, I really believe it's just really the very beginning. And this is not because of any marketing we've done. We're furiously building and getting everything ready for the main funnels, which are going to go out and kind of bring the public into this space and kind of teach them about BitShares, and people who have no clue about Bitcoin are going to be using BitShares X and getting their shares and all that kind of stuff. And that's all going to be coming online in the next couple of weeks. One of the cool things they're doing is they're doing this free webinar next Thursday, and we expect to maybe get upwards of 1,000 people on that call. And these are going to be people that are not even active on our forum. These are just people that are really interested in what we're doing, and we're going to teach them step by step how to get their BitShares X, how to get safely come up with a password and to back up that password and back up their wallet, and basically everything they need to kind of get in the door. We're going to teach them on Thursday. And then we're going to take the training in place. We're going to do ongoing training to teach people how to do these kind of things. And like I said, the marketing has not taken effect. This is just kind of rumors are getting out there amongst people that are in the know and that have deep pockets. And they're, getting in as much as they can, kind of getting their position ready. And these marketers expect it to go a lot higher than it's gone already. So, and I do too. I really do. I think we'll go past Litecoin pretty quickly. And we only need to get to 8 cents to do that. And the marketing gold right there is enough to, get the whole world talking. I think that we're going to be, number 2 dog. So very exciting stuff happening. I could go on and on and on, but this is it's all coming together now, and the main goal with the marketing that I'm doing now is to get the average person to care, first of all, and to get interested in what we're doing, and to figure out what is BitShares X and what is BitShares, and people who have never even heard of Bitcoin are going to go straight through our marketing funnel, essentially.
Well, that sounds good. I do have a question regarding that. Do you have any considerations for or how are you going to be advertising this? Is it just going to be through the forums? I noticed that we have a lot of Twitter activity that's been ramping up. So if there are individuals here who have Twitter accounts, we could all follow each other and we could point ourselves to a certain location to check for updates from you, Brian, and we could all retweet them. I know that that's how they usually do it for pump and dumps, but we don't want to pump and dump. We want to actually bring value.
Yeah, the social media is very important, but what I'm learning from these guys is that search, SEO, videos, press releases, that kind of stuff is even more powerful. These guys own one of the larger PR companies on the web, and they are going to be distributing unlimited number of press releases for us for free. We're going to be producing a lot more videos. We're going to be producing videos for keyword searches. So when you go on and somebody says Bitcoin as an investment, for example, they put that long-term search in. The first thing that's going to come up is a video of me, say, interviewing Daniel and saying, what do you think of Bitcoin as a long-term investment? Boom. Daniel gives a 30-second response. We put it up there. We have a short video. And now we're the number one ranked for that particular search. There's another example where they showed me there's a ton of people searching. Strangely enough, they put in bit space coin because they don't know how to put it in there. They put Bitcoin mining. The numbers of people searching for Bitcoin mining is off the chart. So all we got to do is come up with a video that has to do with Bitcoin mining. We talk about Bitcoin mining, and essentially what we're going to do is we're going to hijack the traffic for Bitcoin because nobody's searching for BitShares, and then we're going to make sure that we're at the top of every single list, and we're going to be outranking everybody out there for search, and that's a very key. And press releases are ranked higher by Google. In fact, we just released a press release yesterday, and within 1 hour we had 400 views. And that's because we were on, I think we're on the second page of Google, but they told me it'd be on the first page of Google in the next day or two. And then we're going to continue to release these press releases, which are just, nobody's doing that in the industry. Nobody's utilizing, this kind of stuff. So we got a lot more things that we're trying to do, but these are just some of the ideas that we're working on. And essentially, when you search Bitcoin, you're going to see BitShares. That's the main plan. Social media is very important. We definitely want everybody to start sharing things on social media. We're growing that, but you don't really find us on social media unless you're looking for us. So, we don't want to just keep preaching to the masses. They're preaching to the choir, so to speak. So there's many different ways that we can market that people aren't doing right now. And we're looking at all those different venues. We also have a way to kind of funnel and attract several million people, and I can't really get into how we're going to do that, but we have the ability to attract millions of people within a very, very short amount of time, and put them directly to our sites where they can learn about what we're doing. And these guys are experts at doing just that.
I'll just go ahead and say that a dance video with Miley Cyrus might help. But
Sure,
continue.
why not? That'd be great. We'll come up with our own crazy celebrity to endorse us.
Torch USD.
Actually, we'll get Dan to dance with Miley. That'd be great. So yeah, it's really exciting. And what I've been doing is I've been reaching outside of our industry to experts that are in totally different fields that kind of know whatever that might be, like say SEO, and they're experts in that area, and they're going to help us kind of get to the next level. And I'm bringing these people in saying, look at what we're doing. You guys should be interested in this. Show us what you guys know how to do. Let's partner together. And that's something that hasn't been happening. Everybody's kind of, it's kind of like a big circle jerk. All the people in the same industry, talking, trying to outdo each other and be the coolest kids in the class. And I'm like, hey, dude, if we're going to change the world, we need to get out there and tell people why they should care, why they should get involved. I was telling some of the team members this earlier on our call. It's like, until people know why they should care and what's in it for them, this doesn't mean anything. It's not going to mean anything to the world at large, because people aren't going out of their way to find a decentralized whatever like BitShares X. Nobody cares. So in general, nobody cares. So what we're going to do is we're going to make them care, and we're going to get people in the door, kind of like Steve Jobs did when he said, I create products that nobody knows they want. So we got the product nobody knows they want. We're going to tell them why they want it. We're going to make it easy to use. And we're going to get them in the door so that they can start using it, even if they have no idea what a blockchain is. They're going to be using it. And we're also going to we have a way that we can get, basically our shares are going to be giving away. We're going to give away some shares when somebody downloads a wallet, but it doesn't have to come out of our pocket, and it doesn't have to come out of the Angel Shares Fund pocket. So that's really cool too.
That sounds awesome. Do you mind if I ask a real quick question here?
No, I ask away.
I watch a lot of news, and a lot of the news that I watch is alternative media. It's not the three channels that are owned by the same people. That are constantly splayed across our television sets. But the general consensus is, I mean, what you hear from a lot of them is you hear a lot of gold bugs and silver bugs and in the background on alternative media who are really concerned about, the economy and all these different problems that are being faced. And every time I listen to these, I keep thinking to myself, my Lord, if only they knew about these decentralized exchanges that are coming online. They have the new silver fix in London that's coming out that they're trying to push. And you have all these different mechanisms that the powers that be are trying to employ. And it seems like these decentralized exchanges have the power to really fix these markets once they get to the point where they're robust and resilient. Do you guys have any plans for focusing on that demographic, and are there any other specific demographics you are looking at?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things we're doing is that we're going to target specific, let's say, interest groups, special interest groups, and that would be anything from political groups to people that are precious metals to options traders. We have access to a list of 300,000 options traders, so we send those people to BitShares X, and a large number of them are going to sign up and want to use it. We are looking at particularly people, whether you like them or not, people like Glenn Beck, people that have a big audience that are already a little bit anti-establishment, anti the big banks, all that kind of thing, and figuring out, could we advertise with those kind of people? Could we get on there and tell people to come check us out? So we're looking into all that. I guess one of the particular guys has already done some stuff with Glenn Beck for advertising, and we looked at what is the guy's name on RT television, the crazy guy. Ethereum was on there. Can't think of his name now.
Max Kaiser.
Yeah, Max Kaiser. We already tried to reach out to Max Kaiser. Nothing happened. I think that the Ethereum thing, he did the interview with them, and I don't think he really got what Ethereum was trying to do, but we may be on one of those kind of venues, but even if we have to pay for it, and it's like a sponsored kind of thing, like a commercial, but that's longer term. Right now, we have plenty of people that we can go and directly talk to and directly get this in front of, but we're not ready to send them through yet. So it's going to be over the next month or two, we're going to start getting these people kind of through the system. And one of the things that we're really working on, this is really, really exciting. This is the thing I'm most excited about, is we're going to build a one-stop shop place where people can go to a site, download BitShares X, get their free shares in the wallet, register their name, do all that, and they can also add shares to it without ever leaving that website, without ever signing up for an exchange, without ever buying Bitcoin. And we're building that right now. So that's going to be a huge barrier to entry removed, so that you could just go to a site, and it might be, thefutureofbusiness.com, and you just start reading about, or it could be, revolutionaries for change, or, revolution for change. And it's people that are, say, political, the people that are third party people, libertarians, and they're going to the site and reading all about political things. And then suddenly at the bottom of the site, it says, do you want to learn about the revolutionary new financial world? Check out BitShares X. So it kind of funnels people depending on what their interest is, and tells them how this is relative to what they're interested in. And then you don't need to go anywhere. So there's no, as soon as the average person goes to BTER or something, they're done. They're not interested. They're not coming in they're not going to get involved. They're just not. And the only people that are going to get involved are people that are already into this kind of stuff, and very technical people. And so we're going to make that really, really simple. And so you just, you're educated. Your hand is held every step of the way, and at the other end of the funnel, basically, you now have BitShares X. You have your shares. You can do it for no risk because it's free, and then you can start telling your friends about it, and then your friends are going to start trading shares with you. And guess what? You're using the technology, and you don't even know exactly what it is, which is fine. People can learn as they want to learn.
So they'll be using dollars to buy those BitShares?
Once we get a gateway set up, they're going to buy probably. They'll get USD, BitUSD is probably the preferred method, and then it'll transfer from there into the wallet.
So it's kind of like a faucet of sorts, and then they can also buy into.
By the way, the goal of having BitUSD as the on-ramp helps the entire system. You don't need to sell people BitShares X. You just need to sell them BitUSD. And
Yes.
every person that owns BitUSD is supporting the value of BitShares X.
Yes.
So
yeah, the plan is to get them, in, and they won't know that they're using an exchange. It'll be on the back end. So we'll have an API that ties in with these exchanges and does it all for them. And these guys were saying every step that you make someone go, each additional step you make people go through, the more percentage of people drop out and don't use technology. And that's true of anything. That the easier it is to use, the less steps, the more likely people are going to use it.
So you would cooperate with someone that has a banking license?
Yes, we're going to talk to several. We're actually right now talking to several exchanges to find out which one is going to be our USD to BitUSD. That's going to be our biggest challenge, which we're working on right now. We got plenty of exchanges that are ready to shortly that are going to list us. I mean, we're on 4 exchanges now. I think we'll be on like 8 or 9 very shortly total. But we need a USD to BitUSD.
Okay, great. And I got another question. So the marketers you're working with, and they are mainly helping you to get the CEO and the whole online and Google marketing right. But it's not. So what I have in my head still is the infomercials and stuff. So what are the channels they are helping you with?
I'm not sure if I understand the question. The infomercials, no, we're not talking about any kind of infomercials, although they are partners with people who do infomercials. They know those kind of people. We're focused on getting us highly ranked in Google, SEO, and creating and then working with lists. Creating a lot of content and get the most content on the internet so that anywhere you search for content in the industry or Bitcoin, you're going to find us.
That makes sense. Okay, great. No, because I just had the discussion about the infomercials in my head, and I always thought, what are the channels those marketers would promote BitShares on? But now it's clear. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to rule it out that one day we might do an infomercial, but no, I don't. There's some guys doing an infomercial for Bitcoin, which will be huge, I think, when you have an infomercial where the average person can get involved in Bitcoin. And
I think they might try to upsell on BitShares for the Bitcoin infomercial if we can convince them.
Oh yes, well, I mean, if you want me to talk about that, I'll talk about that. I mean, they work with Kevin Harrington. Kevin Harrington is the guy that founded QVC and the Home Shopping Network. He's done some of the biggest product launches on TV ever, and he is doing the Bitcoin product. I don't know if it's an info product. I don't know if it's it's a DVD or I don't know, something that you download. I have no idea what the product is, but he'll probably sell several million units of that, and then everybody that gets sold on that product will then be told about BitShares later on. They'll be offered BitShares X, and then they can go and get involved with us. And if there's 30% or 40% of those people convert over, then you're talking hundreds of thousands of people in the door just on that one avenue. And that I talked to Kevin last week and briefly about this, and it's not there yet, but it's a possibility.
Well, that's pretty big news. I mean, the Home Shopping Network is also a demographic, generally speaking, that is going to be hard to hit in any other way, because a lot of them are, housewives is a large one demographic.
Yeah, his demographic is not Home Shopping Network. His demographic is anybody on an infomercial that he's marketing to. I mean, you can market to any demographic with an infomercial. So, I predict he'll be very successful with that. And I mean, there's a lot of people sitting around that have heard of Bitcoin and they're just sitting on the sidelines. They're not getting involved. And, you see a really awesome 30-minute commercial that tells you why you should get involved and how easy it is. Then you're going to send your $9 or whatever it costs to get your little product so you can get in and get started.
Makes sense.
So honestly, as excited as I am to have met Kevin and, that we all met him and that he's really a big fan of ours. And I think he really likes the BitShares music concept, because he's connected very well and very highly connected in the music industry, and he's partners with Paula Abdul and a whole bunch of Nas and a bunch of people. He's honestly, that's not even the biggest news. The kind of stuff that we're working on is way bigger than that, and way bigger. So, I predict that we don't even need to really go find that many people, even though we're going to try to find new people on Google and that kind of stuff. We don't need to find that many people. We've already got, like I said, we've got millions of people direct. We got their email addresses. We're ready to send them information as soon as we get all this up and send them directly through and into BitShares X. And it's a hard offer to turn down because it's like, hey, free, come download this thing, get free shares. Why would you not do that?
Yeah, have you guys taken into consideration any, potential scams that might pop up, similar to any other web service that, you log in, you get a phishing email that takes you to a site that looks exactly like our site. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Or even worse, looks like the login of the wallet.
I can't speak to that. I don't know much, if anything, about security. Maybe Dan could speak about security. I have no clue what to tell you on that.
Well, there's always going to be phishing attacks, and the more that happens, the more justification it is for a system like ours. So get rid of passwords, get rid of websites that you log into, use the wallet to log into everything. But the most we can do is try to educate users.
Yeah, so, I'm very excited by what's happening here. I don't know if you guys have read the BitShares X site, the About page. I spent the last couple of days I basically scrapped it and started over. If you go to bitshares-x.info, it's the DAX Unlimited site. I rewrote the About page for them. And I wanted it to be more like, what is the story? What is, no technical babble, not just why should the average person care about this and get involved? And I want to keep putting our focus on, why. What's the why behind it? Why are we doing this? And as long as we focus on the why and that we really want to get out there and change, the way things, reimagine everything, I think was our slogan for a little while. It's like, if we really are going to reimagine everything, let's keep our focus, keep innovating, keep building, but let's also remember why we're doing this. We're doing this for people. We're doing this for not just a small little community of the people, us. We're doing it because we really want to see people use it. And if we believe it's something that's an improvement over the current system, then we need to get out there and tell people that. And I really believe that once people get it, Bitcoin has always had a horrible, there's no one's really taken the charge on Bitcoin and got it clear in people's minds, and people have attempted to. But I think we can do an even better job to get people to understand what this whole crazy crypto world is, and then once they get it, they want to get involved. And one of the things, I had a really good conversation with one of these marketing guys, and he said, Brian, the average person that buys products on the internet, the average American, whatever, has like a 4th grade education. He said, I hate to tell you that, but that's just the truth of it. And unless you can write to them at that level and make it super simple, not just to them, but also young people. I mean, young people drive trends. That's who drives the big trends and the big companies. I mean, look at, all these, Snapchat and all these apps that are coming out right now that are just huge. A lot of them are driven by young people and college age people. And so we need to make sure we speak to them as well. And so I'm really trying to focus on message and purpose and, all that kind of stuff, so that we don't get too down a rabbit hole where the only people that want to use it are people who are highly technical.
Makes sense.
Now, if you guys want some entertainment, we are being called the biggest scam in the history of mankind.
Oh yeah.
The great BitShares, the great Satan on the blockchain.
Is that George Soros?
That's somebody on the next forum. It's also on Bitcoin Talk.
I saw the image of Bytemaster there with him. And you know what? I look at it this way, man. Controversy is a great way to build a brand. I promise you it is. I mean, if you look at Donald Trump, the guy, like, most everybody hates him, but the dude knows how to market himself. I mean, you look at Howard Stern, you look at, I put a post on the forum about this. Look at Miley Cyrus. You think Miley Cyrus is a train wreck? I'm telling you, she's got handlers. She's got people that are very incentivized to create stories and nutso stuff so that she stays in the news. It's all part of marketing. It doesn't look like marketing. Yep. That's how good it is. And so Miley Cyrus is this crazy train wreck that everybody loves to hate or hates to love. But you know what? She's on top, man, and that's okay. I mean, Lady Gaga, controversial to a lot of people, and I think that if we're controversial, we already are controversial because we're saying mining's going to die and Bitcoin could be replaced and there's better technologies and all these crazy things that Dan's been spouting for a while that people are finally starting to say, maybe he's right. So I don't have any problem being controversial because at least they're talking about us. I'd rather have a lot of haters and a lot of wild, crazy fans, and that's a great way to build a brand. So as long as we're not, trying to crush anybody or be better than anybody, I don't want to be negative at all. I don't want to necessarily tell, be
the reason I bring it up is not to, that it's bad. I'm kind of just amused.
Oh, I know.
I just think that people should be aware of these are the types of things people are saying. And, what is the response to it? Primarily, it comes down to that BitShares X is a debt-based monetary system with I guess they basically, the Federal Reserve has its board of directors and is basically saying, it's got the 101 delegates act just like that. And it can decide on the money supply and all these other things. It's very interesting.
The Federal Reserve can't be forked.
What's that?
The Federal Reserve can't be forked either, though.
And you can't vote your Congress out in instantaneously, which is what we can do with DPoS.
Yeah, essentially. And these are definitely.
And the shareholders of the Federal Reserve are a secret cabal rather than the people. So the interesting thing is that for those who don't like debt money, all right, just use BTSX as the money. If you want to speculate relative to your non-debt money, BTSX, then go ahead and speculate on the other things. You don't have to use BitUSD as your currency.
Here's the thing. We are going to be way more controversial in the future than we are now. And here's why. Because BitAssets is the Bitcoin killer. BitAssets is where it's at. And when we get to the point where we have the discussion as an industry, is there a replacement to Bitcoin? Is there something better than Bitcoin? Is there an alternative? And people start saying, well, maybe what BitShares is doing is an alternative. You're going to have a lot of controversy because these miners aren't going to go away quietly. I mean, they've got way too much invested in the status quo. And Bitcoin technology is already an outdated technology, and DPoS is where is the future right now. So I think that as we get closer, as we surpass Litecoin, people are really going to start talking about it. And we're going to get more and more loud about our message, which is, hey, look, mining is not where it's at. There's other alternatives. You need to look at what we're trying to create here, and just kind of put it out in the public that maybe Bitcoin will be surpassed by something, and that's going to be extremely controversial.
I'm going to go ahead and bow out at this point. Brian can answer any other questions that may have. But,
thanks, Dan.
We're going to try to get a few more fixes in there.
Hey, Bytemaster, before you leave, if I could ask just one or two of the Reddit questions, I'd like to keep people who aren't able to attend, give them just the ability to ask a couple questions and have them answered, if that's fine, like maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead. Joint Venture was the first to post, and he asked a walkthrough on how to use the BitShares toolkit library would be very appreciated. I've managed to compile the toolkit, but it's hard to guess how to use it. Maybe this would be good. A simple example showing how to construct a Hello World DAC using the toolkit. Is there any
That is not something I could possibly answer here. But the desire is, once we've stabilized on the design, we want to refactor some things before the toolkit's ready for others to use, particularly how the database works. A lot of our refactoring is probably going to be centered around Turing completeness, if you will.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a work in progress before we get to that point. At this point in time, the most we can do is say, here's how you can clone us, and these are the variables you change, and now you have a BitShares X clone, and from that point on, there's a few things you can do to customize it for your own rules. But yeah, right now it's not for the faint of heart.
Roger. And then the final question that I would ask, and there are 5 questions, but people, for those who are listening, who want to put up questions here, I try to get 1 or 2 of them in. As you can see, you might not be guaranteed, but the upvotes help. The second one would be from Gingerbread Man, and he's saying, with regards to the GUI and the UX, can there be a total column added to the tally to tally up the total funds of all accounts in the wallet?
Yes, I believe that's planned for the next major overhaul.
I can talk to you guys about that because we have a new design on the GUI, and it has exactly that feature.
Sounds good, Brian. Thank you very much.
The goal is for the user to select their own currency of choice and see their balance converted to that.
That's nice. That's a nice way of doing it. Well, thank you very much, Bytemaster. Please feel free to bow out and keep on trucking it, man. We want to be on that island.
Which one, Australia or Hawaii?
Well, what's keeping us from both?
Can I ask a very quick question?
Sure.
Just a minute. It's about actually multi-signature. Are you working on this, or is it rather on a higher position on the to-do list, or any plans on this?
The blockchain technically supports it. The wallet doesn't make it easy to implement right now. We're working on the usage pattern there. Multi-sig is a tricky proposition. You have to propagate the half-signed transaction to multiple parties and get them to sign it. And we'd like to make that easier. That's probably going to be introduced as part of our next major wave of lightweight clients that use basically a mail server or a notification server for notifying you of new transactions. And once we have that, then when you do a multi-sig, you create a multi.
So that if you guys want to hear a little bit about the GUI redesign, I can tell you about kind of what we're trying to work on here.
Please.
So some of the things that I was looking at with the GUI that aren't on there that we're going to try to incorporate is one of them is a net assets kind of thing, where essentially it takes all your accounts, adds them together. It tells you the dollar value or the euro value or whatever currency you want, so that you know the real world value of your account. Of course, if you want to keep it in crypto, you can, but you can change to really anything you want. It does the calculation for you, so you don't have to figure out, okay, what is this worth? But just be able to, as soon as you sign in, you go to a dashboard. Your dashboard tells you your account value, and on that dashboard is also going to be charts. So you're going to see charts of things like BitShares X or PTS or whatever. You might see the chart of the top 3 DAX that are out there. One of the things that I came up with was something called the BIA, which stands for BitShares Industrial Average. It's going to be like the Dow Jones of the BitShares universe. And so we'll have basically that'll average together maybe all of the DAX, or add them all together, or it'll be the top 100 DAX, who knows. So that's going to be something in there. So you'll see some charts. The other thing is we'll have news right in your dashboard. So you'll see news coming out from us on a regular basis, and then we'll have a sponsored news tab. And the sponsored news will be a place where people can buy that little spot, and it'll put additional revenue right back into the system. So that will go to the shareholders. On our account page, we're going to have it much simpler to use. It's going to look nothing like what it is now. It's going to be just real intuitive. I got some really cool designs made up. I'm not ready to show them yet, but believe me, we're working on the background to make it like as good as any software out there. Very intuitive, easy to maneuver, and yeah. So we're going to try to incorporate those things.
We were actually looking at Gamey Jabba and myself are working on something called BeyondBitcoinX.net, and it sounds like you have some similar ideas to how we were looking at doing things. Are you going to be able to surf the web or browse the web or essentially use your wallet to traverse to a website like beyondbitcoinx.net and essentially log in through the web interface? I mean, the interface.
I can't answer that. I don't know how that would work. I do know that Dan says there's a way to do a news feed, so the news goes into when you update your wallet, it automatically updates the latest news. But whether there'd be like a way to browse or anything, I don't know. I doubt it. Who knows? I have no idea.
Sounds good. Yeah, I would maybe offline we could talk about it a little bit behind the scenes. I don't mind talking about it here, but I don't want to steal all the.
No, I don't mind showing you what we've kind of come up with. It's a work in progress, but for me, the first time I really started using BitShares X, I was like, wait a second, this is not that intuitive. It's not that easy to use, and so I just talked to Dan about that, and I was like, hey, can I just kind of run with some ideas for designs? Because I'm not a technical guy, but the front end, working with Cass on doing some really cool designs. I've been looking at a lot of different software out there, a lot of stock trading software like TD Ameritrade, stuff like that, and seeing, okay, how do they do their apps? It's a very complicated thing if you're going to be buying stocks and you got several accounts for your stocks and all that kind of stuff. And then you go to like their iPad app and it's very simple. It's like very straightforward. It's beautiful. It looks, you don't really have to be trained on how to use it. That's kind of the target. That's kind of the goal that we want to kind of aim for. So like when I was in Virginia, I told the devs, I said, don't even call it a wallet anymore. It's not a wallet. This is way beyond a wallet. And we don't need to be looking backwards to like Bitcoin wallets to compare ourselves. We need to look forwards. Like let's look at the best software on the planet and say, how can we make BitShares X as good as any software on the planet that just happens to be the decentralized software?
If it is not a wallet, what is the due name?
Well, the one thing I put on the site, if you go to the BitShares X site, is it's your virtual vault. We can't say bank, but I think virtual vault is good, or you could just say account, BitShares X accounts. There's several things you could say, but I mean, I'm not saying you can't call it a wallet. I'm just saying that's not what it is. Yeah. It's way beyond a wallet. It's a market. It's an entire market built into a client. So, a virtual vault I think is kind of cool because it kind of says, okay, it's a safe place to put things. It's not really a bank, but we're still working on the metaphors. But all I'm saying is that we don't want to compare what we're doing to wallets that are out there because that's yes, ours is way more cool than a wallet, but it's light years away from where it needs to be.
Yeah, I saw I visited the page during the and I liked the graphics with the vault and the whole approach and your storyline, etc. It's a big improvement over salesmanship.
Thank you. Well, Cass is brilliant. He's a great designer. I give him some ideas. Yeah, absolutely. I give him ideas, and then he just does it. And I'm like, hey, what if we did this vault, and what if we do this, and then I write everything, and then we work together really well. So Cass is really the designer there, but I'm kind of the idea guy. But we're working on how to market it, what to call it, not to get ourselves in trouble, all that kind of stuff. But if you can open up BitShares X in the near future, and it looks as good as E-Trade or better, then now we've got something we can go market to the world, and that's the goal. The goal is to get it so that when you're using it, like Dan was saying a couple of weeks ago, you don't the technology is invisible. The blockchain is irrelevant. I mean, it's not irrelevant. It's important, but it doesn't mean anything to the average person. If you're on your bank, if you're on Wells Fargo and you're going to pay bills with bill pay, you don't need to see how the technology works. It's very complicated, technology, but you don't see any of that. All you see is just, oh, okay, that's where I send money. That's who I send it to. You just do it, and then you see your balance, and it's all very easy. But the software. So I guess what I'm saying is the fact that it's decentralized and it's peer to peer and all this stuff is very important. But the average person, all they want to know is, do I trust it, and do I want to use it, and is it easy to use, or do I just want to give up on this and not use it again? So if we can get it to that level, like with one of these trading platforms, for example, or trading software, then we got something that will be really, really, it could be viral. It could be something that everybody's excited. And I was just watching the documentary last night on Napster. It was so fascinating. If you guys haven't watched it, go on Netflix, watch the Napster documentary, because they built, the most badass peer-to-peer software, and it went from 30,000 users to 60 million in no time, all because it was easy, fairly easy to use, and it was lightning fast. And, it was just a really cool story. It really was. Unfortunately, it didn't end so good because the music industry decided to destroy them. But But it's a great story. You should watch it.
I sold my little brother €10 worth of BitShares, and he actually was like excited as he saw that it's like now €25 worth, so more than twice.
Yeah, that was, I think, exciting for all of us of all ages yesterday and today.
Well, it's really what's exciting about what we're doing is that we're taking a proactive approach. In this industry, most people just kind of have the idea that if you build it, they will come, which worked with Bitcoin. Keep in mind, Satoshi built this thing and then he released it and then it just happened. I mean, nobody really pushed it. Nobody had to go out there and actually do a marketing campaign for it. So because it was so revolutionary and it seemed to work and has been working. But the difference is, like with Ethereum or any of the 2.0s, they're saying, okay, I'm going to build it and it's going to be brilliant and people are going to come use it. But it doesn't really work that way. And even with BitShares X, it's as brilliant as it is and as cool as it is, I don't think people are just going to come use it. You have to translate it and market it. And if you believe the famous quote about business, there's only two things in business: there's innovation and then there's marketing. And that's true of anything. Apple would not be the company they were if they weren't great at marketing. They build great products, but they had to market them. And that marketing is the gateway to the users, and it's the way that you translate your amazing product to the people that are going to use it. And if you don't have the marketing, your great product just sits on the shelf. And so I want to make sure that doesn't happen. That's why we're taking a proactive approach, and it's very, very exciting because I'm being humbled because I'm learning so much from these people about how this stuff works, and they assure me they're like, hey, we've done this many times. We know what you're seeing with your chart is what we see all the time. Like we literally, we go out there, we create a product, we launch it, and then we just watch, the number of users just, the dial starts spinning, and we just, the money comes in, and we know how to do this kind of stuff. If we do any kind of close success to the kind of success these guys have already had, we're going to be off to the races. And they're incentivized because they're putting their own money in. These guys are putting their own huge chunks of money in because they believe that they're going to make it worth a lot more than it is. And I'm not going to call what kind of price we're going to go to because I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But if BitShares goes to $1 a share, it would become $1 billion company. It would go to 50 cents a share, it would become $1 billion organization or software. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all in the near future. And then if we can, solve the Bitcoin problems, which Dan thinks he can, then we could be a multi-billion-dollar, solution. So I don't think this is stuff that's pie in the sky.
Well, that's absolutely wonderful.
So get your hands on as much as you can. That's all I'm saying.
Well, out of curiosity, you say that you've told us in the past that you have your your thumb on the pulse of a lot of individuals who are gold bugs and silver bugs, and I bring up gold and silver bugs because there's just this huge untapped demographic that's really they see the manipulation. It's so obvious that there's manipulation, algorithmic trading manipulation on the markets, and the prices are fixed. Where do you stand? Have you heard anything as far as where these people stand on BitShares at this juncture, or do you talk to any of these types of people behind the scenes? And can you give us kind of like an idea of what they think?
Well, I'll be the first to admit that I'm a gold and silver bug. I've been a precious metals investor. In fact, most of my money was going into precious metals until I came on board with BitShares, and now it's all like BitShares. So, but no, I don't really talk to them. My friends are friends with the top people like Mike Maloney. I'm a big fan of Mike Maloney, and I think that that's a whole focus right there. I mean, if we get on Mike Maloney's mailing list, I mean, holy crap, dude. I mean, we can go out there and tell people, look, you like gold, you like silver? Well, you should check BitGold, BitSilver out. And let us explain to you why it has value, how it can't be manipulated like the paper silver markets and paper gold markets are manipulated. And, once you go down that rabbit hole, you start learning what they're actually doing to suppress the price of gold and silver. It's absolutely shocking. I was talking to Dan the other day about, Dan, okay, if they got paper gold, paper silver, what makes what we're doing different? How is the BitGold, BitSilver different? How is it, all that kind of stuff. And what would happen in the case where silver and gold shoot way up and there's a currency collapse? And we talk about all these kind of things. But yeah, I think they're very important because those are people that already look at it like, hey, I don't want my money in the system. I want it in gold. I want it in silver. And believe me, I'm always going to be a gold and silver guy. I'm not going to hold everything I have in crypto. I just don't believe in that. I believe in diversification. I've made a lot of money and lost a lot of money in my life because I kept it all in one asset class. That's the biggest mistake you could ever make, is keeping all your wealth in one asset. So don't do that. Even if you just put 10%, 10%, 80%, you should have some other assets in case one asset collapses, namely the real estate bubble that I rode up and down. So, I think that's a great way to go. Those people, you don't have to preach to them that the Federal Reserve and the monetary system is corrupt. They already know it. So they're great. They would love this kind of stuff. But and I know that Maloney is doing videos on Bitcoin now. So he's actually supportive of Bitcoin. Before he was like, I don't know what that is. Now he's like doing videos on it. So if you guys don't know who Mike Maloney is, you should check him out. Go to goldsilver.com and watch his whole video series on the monetary system. And it'll blow your mind, because then you can really understand the way the world works with money. But if there's a monetary collapse, when there's a monetary collapse and we have a major worldwide global monetary crisis, people are going to flood into gold, they're going to flood into silver, and I think they're going to flood into crypto. They're going to go anywhere that's not, the normal financial, world. But just so you guys know, I have to go here in a few minutes. But the delegates are going to become more and more recognizable people, because as this grows bigger, the delegate spots are going to be much more competitive and they're going to be much more valuable. So you're not going to be able to just sit back and have people voting for you unless people know who you are, because the number of users that'll grow on the network is going to be all these people that have no clue who, Buzznuts is, for example, from the forum. They're just going to be on using it. And so you got to get the market out to say, look, hey, you heard about this through us, vote for us as a delegate, that kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Okay, yeah, certainly. Well, hey guys, I appreciate you letting me talk. I know I had a lot to say, but I'm just very excited about what's happening. And
we are too.
And I'm just telling you that this is really not a fluke. It's not. Who knows? We may have a correction.
Pump and dump.
It's not a pump and dump. I promise you. And it's not only that. It's just the beginning. I mean, this is not like going to 3 cents or 4 cents or 5 cents. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing, because the price is going to go. I just know I know the amount of money that's coming in, and I know what our plans are and how it's going to work. And I'm just very, very excited about the future. And I just cannot wait till we're number 2. And then we can start having this discussion about Bitcoin and, what's better than Bitcoin. And believe me, we're going to also market that as an idea. We're going to get the marketing and own the marketing and change the perception that there has to be a replacement to Bitcoin. And that's going to be our system. So
may I give an advice when it comes to battling Bitcoin or battling with Bitcoin? We should really not and never forget that all of this was basically made possible because of Bitcoin.
Yes,
especially Satoshi. And I think it's not meant to be a battle between BitShares and Bitcoin. It's more like, we need to choose decent words. Let's say
yes,
that way.
I agree. And it's not the idea is that we're going to destroy Bitcoin. The idea is just that we're going to give people an alternative, and we're going to compete in the arena of capitalism and the arena of ideas. And if we really believe that what we're doing is better for users and better for people and more profitable and doesn't waste, Bitcoin's the least green technology there is. I mean, it's just completely wasteful for no good purpose and so we can get this message out. Then we can, Bitcoin may not go away. It might just be that suddenly now there's an alternative. BitShares is doing something that is on the same level as Bitcoin. And that's what I'm saying. I don't hate Bitcoin or have anything against it or think we need to destroy it. But all I'm saying is that our idea is as big as Bitcoin or bigger. And that's where we're headed. So, if you can get your brain around that we're going to be in the billions. I mean, it took me a long time to believe that, because Dan would always talk about billions and trillions of dollars. And I was just like, whatever, and I was just I didn't really believe it. But believe me, I'm now one of the I've drank the Kool-Aid.
Well, and I've read somewhere on the forums somebody made the analogy between Alta Vista and Yahoo and Google, and how there was a time when Alta Vista was it
That
made
was me.
everything.
That was me. Actually, the speech I just gave to Cryptolina, that was the exact talk I gave. I gave the talk of the 5 waves of technology, and one of the waves was the internet, and that Alta Vista was the first major search engine, and it was like the killer app supposedly, and it wasn't about the websites, it was about the internet. And that's why I said that Bitcoin is like a website, and the blockchain and decentralized ledgers and all that stuff is the internet. And so look at it that way. Yes, it's the top dog, but it's a website. It's a one-trick pony in a way. It's a very big pony, but it's a one-trick pony.
Yeah, she's still a big pony. I'll agree with you on that.
Oh yeah, it's a colossal giant. It's the big elephant in the room. But it's got weaknesses. It's got things that could be improved about it. And maybe we'll just be there to kind of improve Bitcoin and come out with a Bitcoin 2.0. I mean, Dan was talking about that with Vitalik. How could you just change it and turn it over to DPoS and honor everybody that has it? And I mean, there's different solutions, but BitAssets is a whole nother animal altogether, because it allows you to move between all these different assets instantaneously. I mean, where can you do that? I mean, the dollar collapses, so what? You go to BitGold instantly. I mean, it's just amazing stuff.